This is probably a brand you might have forgotten about, MG. We haven't heard about them in almost 10 years, and now with the new HS, can they make a comeback in South Africa? We are.
But this is just on a whole new level.
TVEC.
This is a performance car after all, so you'd expect it to be a lot more rough in terms of driving.
Reactions.
Yo!
Reviews.
Handmade engineering underneath this monster.
Messing around.
4 liters of fuel. Eugene, you're paying for this.
It's crazy. I'm not gonna have enough.
Like, comment, subscribe, enjoy.
Okay, so we're inside the MG HS, and I just want to mention how this car feels compared to its rivals. It reminds me a lot of the Mazda CX-5, and I think that's what we're going to compare this car a lot to. I mean, even just looking at the car from the outside. But it also is cheaper than the CX-5. And that's one thing to really think about. So obviously, if you don't know anything about MG SUVs and whatnot, this is probably, I think, their first one, at least in South Africa, that they're releasing. And yeah, it costs less than the Mazda CX-5, sorry. And it's around the same size. I think it looks a lot better from the outside. And yeah, it's a very, very comfortable car here. Even compared to things like the VW Tiguan. Ooh, I was about to say Touareg. Compared to the VW Tiguan, this is a much more comfortable car. And it's a lot cheaper, which is very important. It's also a lot more, it's also a lot lighter on fuel. This does about 6.9 liters to the 100, which is very good. I mean, this car is selling us as low fuel when it has 105 kilometers of range left. So that's very, very good. But we're going to talk a lot more about the exterior design just now.
What do you think about it when you look at it?
I think that it's probably one of the best looking MGs in a long while.
That is a long shot to say.
It's I know it could be a hot take, but I do think so. Other than maybe the Cyberster that just got unveiled.
Which will be coming the next coming week, so stay tuned.
Yes. But I do think this is probably one of the better looking MGs in a very long time. Especially with just looking at the front end over here. I mean, it's a beautiful front end. I mean, the way the headlights just work. You know, you got the little bulges on the hood over there. The size of the badge, I think, is quite interesting. That's very large.
Well, it is to owe homage to its heritage as MG, the British brand. So that makes sense.
I see what you mean.
That does.
I don't know how I feel about the grille. How do you feel?
The grille, look, honestly, I rather prefer the CX-5 compared to it, because even though it is a much bigger grille, I think it just encompasses the front end a lot more. Over here, it's a bit offsetting for me personally. I know for different buyers and different consumers, it will be their own pickings. But you know, the way it is, the front end, it is really pretty.
And what about the way that it just carries on from the front going all the way back?
Beautiful, especially in this red. I think we've discussed this red 10 times, and we're just gonna continue discussing it.
But it's a beautiful red.
It's beautiful. I think this is more beautiful than even Mazda's red in some instances.
That is a bit of a thing.
A stretch to say.
That's a bit of a hot take.
I will say that because looking at this, I don't know any other CX-5 that shines like this, or even a CX-50 that shines like this.
And I think I'm glad you mentioned the CX-5 because it reminds me a lot of the CX-5, especially when you look at this. The silhouette from the side.
Yeah, the silhouette.
But you do see a little bit of British design when you come towards the back. I mean, this kind of reminds me of the DBX.
The Aston Martin DBX.
It does. It kind of reminds me of the DBX. The way it sort of just goes up a little bit over here, and the way this piece over here just sort of falls down here, and everything just sort of comes together around the headlight.
So the rear three-quarter panels basically looks like a super SUV.
Kind of does.
From the British Aston Martin brand.
I mean, it's a bit of British design over there. One other thing that I do like about it. Over here, what do you think this is?
What do I?
What's that?
That is a sensor for the link cross traffic alert.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that makes it look a lot more classy and special.
It does. But also, it kind of reminds me of the e-tron.
The RS e-tron. RS e-tron. That is a beautiful car.
Because they sort of did that, sort of hide the cameras and everything in that car. Just to make it look more flush. And that's kind of like how it looks over here. I kind of like that.
This is a very, very beautiful car. And then obviously talking about the X rear taillight bar flag. Because that's what it is if you see in the design.
Yeah.
It really, you know, stands out compared to its rivals, such as the Tiguan, the Chery Tiggo Cross 6, the Chery Tiggo Cross 7.
Chery Tiggo Cross.
and the CX-5. If you guys are liking this review so far and you like reviews like this, make sure that you hit down below, click the subscribe button, as well as like and share, because it costs you nothing and it helps us out a lot. So I'm here to speak on behalf of all the mothers that are going to be buying this car. It is a very, very comfortable car. The suspension soaks up most of the imperfections on the road very well. I never thought I would say that, but I guess I ought to say it's a brave new world. And upon stepping inside the cabin, the seats are so comfortable. In a weird way, it almost reminds me of some Mercedes-Benzes and some German cars. But I guess they really wanted to hammer the point that you're getting that much of quality at a much cheaper price. And speaking on some of these rivals, such as a Hyundai Tucson, this is a way more comfortable car. Like, straight off the bat, it's just such a much more plush, such a much more, I don't want to say enjoyable ride, but you do feel a lot more relaxed. Like, when I was taking this car out, I felt so relieved that I didn't have to do anything, touch anything, feel anything. You're so removed from the outside world, and it's really nice to see that the Chinese are going to that much of great lengths to make sure this is a very luxurious cabin.
So we're now inside the
beautiful MG HS.
Okay, I was about to be like, what MG are we in?
MG, don't take offense at it. We still love your cars and we want them as press cars now.
To be fair though, there have been so many crossovers and small SUVs that have been released in South Africa. I mean, like, goodness gracious.
I actually saw something at the previous Toyota event that happened this week, where a few of the Auto Trader South Africa guys were speaking to Rory Reid from Auto Trader UK, and he was saying how the biggest noticeable similarity in South Africa and the UK market is that SUVs and crossovers rule the entire market, which is true, because you have brands like Ferrari looking at making SUVs and electric crossovers now.
And rumor has it there's going to be McLaren SUV coming out sometime this year. But back to this British brand and their SUV, which I think is actually their first one also.
I think so.
So
the main one I remember is the TF160s. Because they were proper mid-engine sports cars, manual, rear-wheel drive, a lot of fun. If you want to use sports car and you don't want an MR2 or MX-5, you look at one of those.
Exactly. But when we come to this MG right now, I mean, just in terms of interior quality and whatnot, it's pretty good for the price.
Oh no, definitely.
It's really good for the price.
Now, for you guys, just to know, starting at $499,900, this is the 1.5 Lux. It will be slightly higher than that, but it's still coming in under the top spec CX-5s and top spec Tiguans, which is really great. I think value for money wise, this is a really good value for money option.
Even base, I mean, starts at less than an MX-5, and look at what you're getting. You're getting a 12.5 inch
CX-5,
12.3 inch.
12.3 inch.
12.3 inch. Every inch matters.
Yes.
And pointage.
And points.
And
we talk about hearts, just by the way. But yes, 12.3 inch, 12.3 inch. Got everything you need. It's got a lot of tech inside.
Yes.
MG has worked with Chinese manufacturers on developing a lot of the tech, because we all know, again, Chinese make some of the best tech.
And I mean, as you can see over here, oh goodness. But this is obviously a demo model. This car actually isn't fully out yet in South Africa.
Yes.
But you can obviously go to the dealership and see this car. The navigation isn't working here, but in terms of just going around and, seeing the infotainment system, it's a little bit laggy.
Yeah.
I will say
not too bad. You could get used to it. I mean, you can forgive it for it because of what it has. And specifically what I want to talk about is, never mind all the tech stuff, because tech can get quite boring quite quickly. Now, you have a lot of safety features on the car and a lot of brilliant cameras that are really, really nicely spec'd. And some things like this you still don't get as standard on something like a Tiguan.
Exactly.
Another thing is the build quality. Listen to this, guys. The screen doesn't move. This, to me, is very BMW as well. I don't know if you can also agree with me that there's a lot of BMW, and this to me is very like Audi or Volvo, very elegant,
like
clean.
2016 A4.
Yes,
sort of like
very clean. They've got a lot of nice angles in here, but everything is built well. This is all soft touch over here. This is all soft touch running along the sides here. Now, I don't know if this is like an organic leather, if it's true leather. No, I think the seats might have some true leather on them, but on that topic, the seats are wonderful. They are super comfortable, huggy and really nice, and we'll speak more about them while we're actually driving again.
But one other thing that I do want to mention, you have a wireless charging pad over here for your phone. Obviously, right there, you got, parking stuff, you got hill descent assist.
Which is nice in a crossover.
It is nice in a crossover. Obviously,
you have your
window over there.
Your space shuttle.
For some reason.
Knob over here.
And the one major con that I'll give to this car is the fact that it doesn't have USB-C charging at all. You have your 12-volt socket over there, and you have an old USB charger. Why in 2025 we don't have USB-C charging? I don't know.
Yeah.
MG, please answer.
So in the rear space of this car, you can clearly see I'm sitting in the middle. I'm about 5'8", and if I sit back, I have a little bit of headroom owing to this giant panoramic sunroof that just opens nicely. Sitting back here, it's very nice and comfortable. A lot of the stuff that you get in the back is going to be in the front. Also with the compartment storage places, there is quite a lot. Again, it's a crossover SUV or a standard SUV for that matter. And the grab handles and the build quality is honestly really phenomenal. So now let's go check out the rear space.
You meet me at the back of the MG HS, the brand new MG HS, with this electronically controlled boot, which is really nice. It is quite high, which is quite nice, and this back part of the car is quite low, so loading in luggage will be quite easy. Now, speaking about luggage, we need to speak about capacity, and inside the boot is 507 liters of capacity, and when you put the seats down, it goes to 1,484 liters of capacity, which is a superb amount of capacity inside here, and you can load quite a bit. You'll have enough for a small sized family to go on holiday with a few big bags, or if your wife wants to go grocery shopping or fetch the kids from school with all their school bags and kit bags, it'll be sufficient enough.
We're in the MG HS, and I'm here to speak a little bit about the dynamics of the car. So obviously we are going to speak about the engine when it comes to the engine parts, which will be after this segment, but let's actually speak about how the car handles itself through corners, under acceleration, how the gearbox is all together. Now, in general, the car is quite a comfortable, easy-going car. Really good for just cruising. I mean, we put it into drive, and it's so quiet, very easy-going, very comfortable. But if you put it into sport and you accelerate, the gearbox doesn't take too long. It still takes some time to downshift and get going, but it is better than some of the Chinese or Korean competition, or even Japanese competition in terms of Toyota, for instance. So it is a better gearbox than that, and it is a 7-speed DCT. You can get a more refined DCT and a better drivetrain in the one spec up from this with the 2-liter turbo, and you'll get 4-wheel drive and a 9-speed DCT. But in terms of what we have here, this really isn't bad. I'm going to test a little bit of the handling here to see how the body roll is. And through this corner, there is a bit of body roll, but it is not too bad. Something like a Tucson will have worse body control, or something like a Corolla Cross, or something in that sort of market or segment, I should say, will be worse to handle. Now, under high speeds, there might be a little bit of a steering wheel flutter like this, but we're not sure if that's just because this is a demo model. It might be. But when you're just generally cruising at high speeds, there's no problems. It's more so with enthusiastic driving. We'll do a little bit of acceleration here. And one more thing to touch on before we move to the actual engine stats is how good the brakes are. If I just slowly put on brakes here, you can see the brakes are really good, and downshift and go. It's not too bad of a gearbox. We've been in a lot worse.
Now, powering this SUV is a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with around 125 kilowatts, which is around 170 PS, 170 horsepower, and 275 newton-meters of torque. Now, it is paired with a 7-speed DCT, but you also can get a 9-speed DCT, but that is in the form of the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, which is also 4-wheel drive as well, but that has a lot more power and a lot more torque. And also, this car is still built in the UK, although it has majority shareholdings and a majority of ownership in China.
So we've reached the end.
Yeah, we have.
And what do we think about the car?
It is a very, very good car. In its segments, I think it is honestly on some even top levels than some of its rivals, such as the CX-5 and the Tucson. It's so comfortable. I think you guys already heard that in the video. Yeah. It's super comfortable. I wish these seats were in my own personal car, because I have to deal with that little hatchback every single day. But what do you think about it?
I think, okay, I'll say this. I hold the looks of a car very, very, very high. I think it's one of the first things I consider. I think if your car looks bad when you look back at it, you bought the wrong car.
Yep.
And this looks pretty good. I will mention this, we've meant to mention it a lot of times. We're around a park over here. I kid you not, every single car that's gone past, the people in the car have looked at this car, and you can see on their faces, they're like, what is that? That is a beautiful car. And that's the looks that you get from this car. You don't get that from the CX-5.
No, because everyone knows what it is. Like, it's been around for the past, since we've been alive, it's been around.
I mean, definitely.
So now when this comes onto the scene, it's like, who's this hot blonde chick? Or in this instance, who's the hot red chick in this instance? Yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you like this video, make sure you hit down below, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you again to Ford Santon for providing us with this, and MG Bryanston. I'll put the links down below.
MG Ravonia.
MG Ravonia, sorry. And we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.